And we are underway. September 18th, 2022. We are underway. Rosie O'Kelly here. Welcome to Sports Betting Handicapping for the week of 9/18/2022. Lots to talk about this time around. We're going to wait till the chat populates a little bit. It was another good week for the betting interest here. I'm happy to say that we're now reaching a point in the season where we have to start separating the pretenders from the contenders, both in college football. What's up, Madam? Both in college football and pro ball. So let me get this on here with the side chat. Give me a couple minutes to get this ready here. And I'm going to wrap up by telling you what our bets were. Let me make sure I've got this set for this. What's up, Dee Dee? How are you? Tonight's going to be contenders, pretenders. Niners, I'm going to have a lot to say about Niners, and I'm going to have something to say about a really classy guy in the Niners lineup, too. What's up, Brian? Looking forward to the stream. It was another good week. We got some stuff to cover, though. We're starting to get some teams that are separating themselves from the pack, and we have some teams this week that don't seem to realize that football doesn't just have a first half. It doesn't just have a second half. It has two halves. We have two teams tonight that showed up and played the first half pro ball and just didn't even show up for the second half. What's up, Justin? What's up, Ryan? Susan Ladd, Juicy Fruit, good to see you. Capricorn Moon, Stan Kaminsky, thank you for being along tonight. Let's get our juices flowing a little bit. Take me back to 1972, Baltimore, Maryland, when I grew up, and the Clippers were the hottest thing in town for AHL hockey. Let's do it up.
When you Baltimore Clippers, when you Clippers from Baltimore, fight you Baltimore Clippers, baseball fight for a Baltimore score, defensemen, forwards, and goalie, will win without a doubt, for Baltimore and Maryland,
everybody.
When you Baltimore Clippers, when you Clippers from Baltimore, fight you Baltimore Clippers and score.
Let's get ready. Take it up a half step. What's up, Seal? Take it up one more half step. Get those juices flowing. One more half step.
When you Baltimore Clippers, when you
JK
from Baltimore, fight you Baltimore Clippers and score.
Oh man, if that doesn't get the juices flowing for a little sports betting tonight. And welcome in everybody, and to the many of you who will watch this on the after stream here. We do stream live on Sunday and Thursday unless I am going to be out of town, and then I try to record it. Can do it. That's right, CO Hater. Everybody can do it. Everybody can be a winner. Sports betting. And I am proof of that. Washington upsets Michigan. We're going to get to that. We got pretenders, we got contenders, we got teams on the rise, we got teams on the fall. And we're going to be discussing them all tonight. So you may want to get a pencil and paper, because you may want to make a few notes about some teams that might be able to carry the mail for you coming up, like they have for me. Now, today, In the NFL, we had a tale of, well, it was a two-sided day. We had teams that started like a house of fire. Baltimore Ravens, Oakland Raiders played beautiful first half football and then totally fell apart for part two. What's up with that? You know what's up with that? The good teams make adjustments at halftime to figure out, they see what the offense is all about, they make the adjustments, and they come out and they totally change their plan of attack. And usually it pays off. But the teams that go in ahead of time are kind of at a disadvantage because, well, the coaches tend to hold back and say, we're doing great out there, let's keep it up for the second half. They're not anticipating changing up a few things to try to make things a little bit different when they come out in the second half and showed. What's up, Richard? Good to see you. So if you got questions and comments, feel free to jump in here. I don't know what happened to Loose 72, aka the Swami, if he'll be around tonight or not. But let's start tonight. Let's talk a little bit about performance today and what we saw. And I've reviewed lots and lots of video, as I always do, and try to learn things that might help me become a better sports bettor, because in my mind football is a great sport to bet on, but pro football is very hard. Do you know that in Las Vegas you can go up to basically any book and make an NFL bet of probably up to $50,000 and they won't really blink an eye? The reason being is parity in the NFL has created a situation where on any given Sunday, any one of these teams is capable of beating any other team. So why should the book be fearful of betting on pro football? Well, the truth of the matter is, it's the only sport that it's rare if somebody gets limited by the book in their betting because of being too good. It's a different story in college football because we don't have parity. We don't have equivalency in teams. We have the Akron Zips can go out and play, or as we saw last weekend, Toledo plays Ohio State and it becomes just a stomp fest. And it's not a question of will Ohio State win. It's a question of will Ohio State cover the spread. That, of course, is not an easy question to answer, because when you get two mismatched teams like that, where does sportsmanship come in? Where does the lesson to be learned when you have two unmatched teams on the field? At what point do you call off the dogs and say to yourself, we're just beating this team into the ground for no purpose at all, just for our basic enjoyment and practice here? So it's not an easy thing sometimes to bet the over and the under, the total number of points that will be scored in a contest, particularly in college football, because you don't know what point Ohio State will turn off the juice or Georgia will turn off the juice, because you have mismatched teams. Do you know, to get some of these second-tier teams to play, the big schools have to pay them sometimes $2-3 million to show up and take a beating, which the schools are happy to do, and it helps round the good teams into shape. But it should be part of your betting thinking that betting over and unders is just not a matter of running up a score. It's a matter of getting in that coach's mind and saying, you know, enough is enough, because we don't want to be that team that's out there just randomly beating up on teams. So that was very apropos to college football this weekend. You didn't know that, right, Seal? So it's a very interesting thing. Remember, in football, you can bet the spread. You can pick two teams playing, and you can bet the team that you think is going to win on a money line bet, or you can take a spread bet, or you can also do over-under, the total number of points that the two teams will put together, put up on the board, and you can bet the over amount or the under amount, and the bookie will set an amount, 50 points, 55, 60, 70 points. Some of these games ran up to almost 100 points between the two teams this weekend. So let's get to the pro game for this weekend, because I have some thoughts here. Some things that I thought would change and get better from last year seem to be right back to square one again, particularly when it comes to my hometown team, the Ravens. So let me get this on here. We're going to look at the NFL scores tonight. And the first game I'm going to talk to, which was a marquee, first game I'm going to talk about, was a marquee game. Let me get this on here, between the Dolphins of Miami playing in Baltimore and the Ravens. And I was listening to this on the radio coming up from Los Angeles. And you want to talk about a shocker, but at the end of the day, I wasn't shocked. Because Lamar Jackson went out. Hey, Bika Long, thank you. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback, went out and just had a stellar first half. I think he rushed in the game for something over 150 yards or something like that, 4 touchdowns, but they lost. Because Miami regrouped at halftime when they were down like 28-7 or something like that. They regrouped at halftime. And they suddenly remembered that the Ravens have a really poor pass coverage defense. And Tua, that great quarterback for Miami, was able to pick that secondary apart and almost score at will, to the point that the Dolphins won, final score 42-38. Now, they came back strong in the second half. The Ravens thought that the game was over when they went in at halftime. And there's the mistake that so many teams make in pro sports. When they go in at halftime, they get it in their mind, if they're up a lot, their mentality becomes, the aggressiveness goes down, and then it becomes, let's just hang on and win the game. And I think that that presents a weaker brand of football for the second half. And I think that that was the case with the Ravens today. Because once Tua, the quarterback for Miami, got it in his head that he could throw as deep as he wanted, 40, 50, 60, 70 yards on the Ravens, and get away with it time and time again, he was just bombing away. There was no running game at all to worry about. It was just bombing away in the end zone, down around, and just killing the Ravens with that. Do you know... Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Callie. I'm going to talk about also the other team that only showed up for half a game. Anybody know what team that was today? I don't know if Ed's here. Yeah, I played football when I was much younger. I don't know if Ed Gutierrez is still here, because he's a Raiders fan. And the Raiders had the Cardinals locked up at halftime, something like 21-7, and the Cardinals came back and took control. It was like a totally different team. Instead of the Raiders doing all the scoring like the first half, it was the Cardinals doing all the scoring the second half. Just like the Ravens. All the scoring was Baltimore in the first half, one lone touchdown for Miami. In the second half, it was all Miami, and very little, only 7 points of Baltimore scoring. So just bear that in mind. You can have a great team on the field, which the Ravens have, but at the end of the day, if you can't close the deal, coitus interruptus, and if you can't close the deal, it's all for naught. There's a mentality that happens when teams are up too much. I believe when they go in at halftime, that one team goes in to change their philosophy and the other team goes in to just hang on and win the game. And it totally takes them out of the original game plan. Yes, it is, Justin. It's all about being a closer. Remember the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, right, with Alec Baldwin? ABC, always be closing. Well, they should play that at football games too for teams. Always be closing. So we'll see what happens going forward. But let me tell you, there's two teams that a message went out today that these teams only play half of a game. And we can beat them, and we know how. And the Miami Dolphins and the Arizona Cardinals were teaching lessons today for other teams. Will the Ravens be able to make adjustments in the secondary? Who knows? To me, it looked like 2021-2022 season just continued right in to this year, which is a real shame because they were playing at home in front of a real fired up crowd. Let's talk about some other games today. You saw the Thursday night matchup between the Chargers and the Chiefs. Let's face it, guys, the Chiefs are going to be a tough team to beat. Mahomes, target, perfect. Doesn't cough up the ball. Not a lot of ugly turnovers. The Chiefs just have solid ball. It's just a question of are they going to cover the point spreads when they play or not. It's an excellent quarterback, and it's excellent coaching that keeps them in the game the whole way. Because let me tell you, the Chargers are a really tough team. So my takeaway from that is it ended about as I expected to, but the Chargers are going to be in every single game this season. You can bet on it. Patriots and Steelers today. This was kind of like smash mouth football. And I really thought when Tom Brady moved on and went down to Tampa some time ago, I really half expected that New England would really spiral down like they were in the 70s and 80s, just a crappy team with not a lot going for them, that just kind of showed up and maybe won 4 or 5 games. But they're a very gritty, grimy team. And they got it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers today, who are no slouches themselves, but they're dealing with some injuries. But their quarterback, they've thrown a few picks today. And, I just don't know about Pittsburgh going forward. Interestingly, all the AFC Central teams lost today. The Browns, the Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers all went down today. Interesting. So I think, do I think the Patriots or the Steelers are going to be an elite team this year? I don't believe that they will be. Okay, I don't know if they have the wheels to really be elite. Let's talk about the Panthers and Giants. There's really not a lot to talk about. I thought this was one of the more uninspiring games that checking the highlights and watching today. And I saw two teams. How you doing, Donnie? Two teams that were pretty equivalently matched out there. But it's like nobody really wanted to win the game. So I call these the great middle tier, one of these great middle tier teams in the NFL. They show up, they win 8, they lose 8 on the year, but they're part of the mix for other teams to feast on. The Jets and the Browns. I got to crack a beer for this one. Here's another case of a team, the Cleveland Browns. They're playing a team, the Jets, that has my old quarterback from Super Bowl days in Baltimore Ravens, and they cannot put it together enough to beat the Jets today. Again, do we relegate them to the great middle ground of 8-8? Probably so this year. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it together. Yeah, it's raining a little bit here, but it feels refreshing. I'm not laughing at the Browns because the Browns had moments of greatness today. Okay, definite moments of greatness, a few tip balls. I think there were a couple picks and some other things today. So New York Jets were able to capitalize that. Hey, Kit and Cat, we got some rain today. So I relegate the Jets and the Browns to that great middle section of performance of you. Colts, Jaguars, get out your pencils and pens. Last Sunday, when I talked about the Jaguars, and they lost their first game of the season, but they showed me some amazing strength in that first game of the season. And I want to tell you right now, I said on that stream last Sunday night, this is not the Jaguars team of the last 2 and 3 years. It's just to show up. Decades of pain. I think that the Jaguars I'm penciling them in for about 9-10 wins this year. And I think that you can probably be able to get a pretty good line betting on them in the future, because it's going to take a while till people get it in their head and believe it, that this is a different Jaguars team. But they held the Colts today to no points. No points. Where's the Super Bowl teams this year prediction? The Rams back-to-back. I got some thoughts about that, okay? But I'm telling you, please circle your card for the Jaguars, because I think if you're sports betting on the NFL, which I generally don't do, I think you can make good money on the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they have a hell of a defense. Okay, and they're going to be hard to beat. And sorry, Lamar Jackson. Sorry to teams that just chuck it up and score a ton of points. We all know defense wins Super Bowls. Okay, you've got to have a good defense. Something that the Ravens did not show today in the secondary. Hey, Adrian. Faith decided the real QB starter for the Niners. Well, we're going to talk about that tonight. Okay, we talked about the Ravens and the Dolphins, the Buccaneers. I think that's the first time in years that Tom Brady has won in New Orleans. I don't know what it is about this guy, but he always gets the job done. You know, I got a friend of mine on YouTube named Street Life, and he's always ribbing me. He's always busting my balls about Tom Brady and how great Tom Brady is, and I'm always kind of poo-pooing him and saying, this guy's 45 or whatever, this guy's going to get crunched up like a pretzel on the field one time, and this guy just keeps coming out and just winning games. An amazing person. Now, since some people were mentioning the Dolphins, the second team that I want you to circle on your card, okay? Ravens went in, as I said before, at halftime. They thought the game was over. We're great. Lamar's wonderful. Ooh, screw it, man. Get the beer iced down. This game is over. They totally gave the game away. The second half might as well have not even been there. But it's a tribute to Tua, the quarterback of Miami, that he came out with a whole different second half look and exploited it. This guy can throw down the field with precision like amazing. You ask me who's going to go deep into the playoffs this year, the Miami Dolphins are headed deep into the playoffs. To me, if you can get a good line on them, on a bet, laying 3.5, 4, 5 points, I think that you can make money on this team going forward. Absolutely, positively, a team that's going to go far this year. Okay, well coached, young, good. They just got to get their defense aligned a little bit, but today, that second half, Tua and Waddle, school buddies, what a connection down there. Tyreek, I think, was the other guy down there that was doing it up, the other receiver. Jaguars, Dolphins. Two teams that I think you should be particularly aware of going forward in the season. And I've got my eye on them. If I see any kind of weak line to lay and take these teams, -3, even minus, I might even go up to 5.5 points on these teams. That's how confident I feel laying these two teams on the spread. Because I think that they're going to have great. I mean, Indianapolis Colts aren't a pushover. They didn't score today. did not score today. Think about that. When's the last time that the Indianapolis Colts got shut out? You tell me. All right. Commanders and Lions. Here's another team you want to circle. Jared Goff, the quarterback from Cal. Right. You always got great quarterbacks that come from Cal. Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, there's just great quarterbacks coming out of there because they're thinking quarterbacks. The Lions are looking good. And Washington came in there and basically, I don't know whether they were looking past this game and just thinking that they were going to snatch one. But I want to tell you what, the Lions put it to them today. That's a third team. I'm circling on my looking forward betting lines for NFL because I think that they have the ability to cover. Because I think Goff is finally coming into his own as a quarterback, and I think the Lions are a perfect fit with him. And Commanders were supposed to be a pretty solid team, but the Detroit Lions took care of business for them. So shame on you, Commanders. Screwing up out there, right? Shut up, my one beer tonight. Y'all getting freebies here. Okay, Seahawks and Niners. I'm coming up the road. I'm listening to 2 games, okay? I'm listening to Ravens, Miami. I'm listening to the Seahawks and the 49ers. First quarter. Quarterback for the Niners goes out. His ankle he's probably out for 4 to 6 weeks at a minimum. And this kid got crunched. This young kid got the shit smacked out of him by the Seahawks. Because the Seahawks, there's no love lost between the Seahawks and the 49ers. They're a very tough rivalry in the division. And the Seahawks came in charged up. But I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you a classy guy. Garoppolo, Jimmy G, came into that game. Now remember, Jimmy G, I'm listening 2 weeks ago. He took the team to the Super Bowl. Not too long ago. He lost his starting position with the 49ers to this young kid, came in. And he goes on a news conference about a week ago, and he says, or maybe 2 weeks ago, and he's like, look, some reporter asked him, do you like being relegated to second string when you took you took the Niners to the Super Bowl or whatever? And Jimmy G said something that really stuck with me. He said, look, I'm here to help the team win. And if the team thinks that my best role is to be a supporting role as quarterback and teach this kid how to do it up, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. You know how humble this guy is? Speaking of humbling, you know how rare it is to have somebody just give it for the team? Because Jimmy G could have said, I don't want to play here anymore. Right. He said, I'll play here. I like the team. Well, guess what happens today? QB goes down. Jimmy G comes into the game, takes command of the game, and they laid on the Seahawks. What was the final score? 27-7. The Seahawks did not score one offensive touchdown today. They had a block, I don't know whether it was a punt or a field goal, something like that, and they ran it in for a touchdown. Mark your card for the San Francisco 49ers because, in my opinion, they probably have the very best defense in the NFL. All right, they only needed a little bit of offense, and I think that Jimmy G can take them deep into this season and into the playoffs. Okay. Had Jimmy G gone in against the Bears, they might have had a different outcome last week. Okay? Turned Trevor Lawrence and the Jags around. Twat, I was already talking about that earlier. I'm begging people to circle the Jaguars on their betting cards. The Jaguars, as I said last week when we hear the Jaguars that lost that week, and I talked about it, I said this is not the Jaguars team of the last 2, 3, 4 years. This is a Jaguars team that has great defense, great ability to move the ball, and let's face it, they got the job done today. And I think if you can get a line laying 3.5, if they gave you points, they would be giving you a gift. Suppose they're playing and you get plus 3.5 or something. I'm going to think it's a gift. Okay, even laying 3 points with a team like that and betting on that, I think you're going to make money. And I would mark my card with them and the 49ers. And who else the Dolphins today. I think these are teams that are going to be elite performers this year. This was the best performance I've seen the 49ers have against the Seahawks, and I don't even remember when. So I'm saying, please take out that game against the Bears and just throw it out the window. It was the opening game of it. Parlay. Let's see what it was. Falcons and Rams. Falcons are pretty damn good. They lost 27-31 today to the Rams, the Super Bowl defending champions. I think that the Falcons are going to be good for about 8 wins this year. I think that they're going to be a pretty good team. Are they going to be elite? No. They're not going to be elite performers, but they might make a statement and might get into the playoffs, just the way I'm predicting at the end. Buffalo, San Francisco, I think Jacksonville's got a chance to be there. The Lions got a chance to be there, and definitely the Dolphins. Okay, those are teams that I think could help you fill out a parlay card for the season. Rams hold off Falcons for 31-27 victory. Yeah, it's not the same Rams as last year. It's about 80% of that Rams team. Are they going to get their wins? Of course they are, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hold on to elite status this year in terms of their performance. So, Cardinals, Raiders. Took a page out of the Baltimore Ravens playbook and just played half of a game. Had total command in the first game, went into the locker room, came out, and just ended up losing in overtime to the Cardinals. What a boost for the Cardinals going forward. What a heartbreaker for the Raiders at home. Did anybody see them going 0-2 to start the year? I don't think so. But then again, I don't think that the Raiders are going to be one of the elite teams that's going to power far ahead this year. Are they going to get their wins? And of course, these are just my opinions, but based on things I've seen in the level of defenses and offenses, remember, I don't really bet pro ball, but I do observe. Okay, not a surprise though. And then the Broncos and Texans. Texans are better than people think, and the Broncos aren't as good as people think. Okay? Take that for what it's worth. The Broncos have really, this should have been a gift game for them, and they ended up coming out of it 16-9. So I think the Texans are going to make it into that middle ground of 8 wins and 8 losses, and it's going to be a hard slog, I think, for the Broncos coming up. Just my opinion. Bears and Packers. Bounce back, right? What do they always say about the Packers? They always lose the first game of the year, and then they play brilliantly the rest of the games getting into the playoffs before they lose the big one. And I'm not surprised. The Bears Fields, not that great a quarterback, not that great a showing against the 49ers last week. So I'm really surprised that it was even 27-10. in this game. Do I think that the Packers have the ability to be one of the elite teams? I think they're on the bubble, to tell you the truth this year. I don't know. Now, the team, you got the Vikings and the Eagles and the Titans and the Bills will be playing tomorrow. I think the Bills they're one of the, they're going to go deep. There's your probable Super Bowl champion at this point in time. I'd be very interested in seeing a rematch between the Bills and the 49ers, a game to watch those two. I don't know if it's on the schedule this year or not. And the Vikings and Eagles. Vikings are another team that I put a circle around it. Hey, Kale. And I say Vikings are an elite team this year. So I think that's about 6 teams that I think form really the top tier so far in the way I'm looking down the road. This is just my opinion and the things that I see. Hey, Thomas. So the teams I would circle, if you can get, if you have to lay a few points to get them in the game, would be the Vikings, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, and of course the Chiefs. They would be the ones that I really think are going to be elite. Hey, Craig, these are just my opinions. I've gotten my ass kicked before, and I'm sure I'm going to get it kicked again. Let's take a little bit now and get over to college football. We went 4-2 this weekend. 4 wins and 2 losses, which we've now tripled our bankroll since the season began, which is a good position to be in. I'm going to talk about some of that and things that are coming up and teams that you want to keep an eye on that you might be able to get a good price on that. Yes, your Google Sports Buy. Yes, you are. So let's get over to some... because it was a very exciting week in college football. Let me get the scores on here. And at the end of it, I'll tell you what we bet, and then I'll tell you some of the teams that I think are going to be good money makers forward, because there's some teams that are performing at a very high level that people aren't buying it. They think that people are sipping the Kool-Aid if they back them. Okay? What do I mean by that? They think it's just a fluke. They think the wheels are going to come off the cart. They think that it's just a matter of being nailed by the right team coming along. And they're going to get obliterated and it's going to be down to earth. I'm not so sure. People ask me, how do you bet? How do you pick the teams? I try to do triangulation. I look at Team A and see how it played Team B. And now I look at Team B is going to come and play Team A. And I try to connect the dots and think, well, they did this against this team. They're probably going to stack up this way against that team. So it's very important that you look at a lot of game highlights and things to really get a look at how teams pair up against other teams and how they run their offense and how they run their defense. Because let's face it, college football is mainly about offenses and not much in the way of defense. I haven't talked anything about Buffalo in tomorrow's game. 10 points is a lot of points. Okay, bear with me a minute. I want to check my own model here. Yeah, I think 10 is probably a bit much. It'll probably be 10.5. I think 7 points would be about 6.5, something like that. I think that's probably a little rich for that. But what's the money line on that, Twat Goblin? I might be more apt to do a money line bet, depending on what the odds are on that. I don't generally like to lay down a lot of money to make a little money, but I haven't looked at the line for that tomorrow night. Yeah, for the Buffalo, yeah, you'd lay 10 points if you take Buffalo on that one, right? Yeah, you're laying 10 points on that game. Do I think that they'll beat the Titans? Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? It's just a question, would they cover that spread or not? So I'm not sure what the spread is right now. You seem to be indicating Twat Goblin at 10.5, something like that is probably the spread. So is it a lot for a pro game? Yeah, it's a hell of a lot. It's a hell of a big spread, but I don't usually bet pro. But I do think that Buffalo is an elite team. And I think they're very capable of covering that spread. So would I sleep? Yeah, he's nailed. Would I sleep at night? Yeah, probably with that. Do I think it's going to happen? Yeah, probably. I think Buffalo has the potential to really run away with that game. But that's just my thought. Okay? Let's get on to the NCAA now. Need a second to get this queued up here. Damn, what about Liberty and Wake Forest, man? I got a few things to say about that. Let's get down to it. All right. Again, I'm going to highlight certain teams that I think really have the ability to cover consistently going forward, even if it's going to be 10, 13, 14, even up to, I dare say, like 17.5 points or something like that. Okay, because these lines are going to be really, I like to fly under the radar ones. Like, for example, Penn State, they played Auburn, and I knew that people have this fascination with the SEC, that they're somehow an elite level of a league, and everybody else can just eat shit out there because you're not SEC. But if you've seen Penn State this year, they've really rounded into something, and I knew that they were going to kick Auburn's ass coming up, and they did, to the score of, I don't know what the final score was on that. There's so many damn college games. Let me see what the final was on that. 41-12. Enters his week 4 AP's up enticing. I'm going to have a lot to say about Washington, DD. What you call Washington, what I'm going to call Washington. Let's go over some of these teams now. And I'm going to tell you some things, and I'm going to tell you what we took and what won and what didn't. And then Thursday night, I'll be back to give the outlook for what's coming up on the weekend and what we're looking at. Okay? I'm not going to talk about every game because there's some scruffy shit that plays in the NCAA here. Florida State and Louisville. I'll tell you, we had this game. I had Louisville plus 2.5 points, and well, it kind of broke my heart because Louisville could have beaten Florida State. But being on the 2-yard line or whatever and fumbling the ball is not conducive to winning football games. And on the last drive, right, chucking the ball for an interception, just not going to be. Louisville's not an elite level team, nor do I think that Florida State is an elite level team. I think that these two teams came in evenly matched, and I think that Louisville just made mistakes that cost them a victory in that, especially in the last drive when the interception was thrown and the game was basically over. So I wouldn't be comfortable backing Florida State, and I wouldn't be comfortable backing Louisville. It would just depend what the points are and who they're playing. But I think the real question that people should ask when it comes to how good is Florida State, the question you should ask is how good is Texas A&M, because that's the team that Florida State, is that the team they won? I can't remember, but anyway, Florida State, I don't think that team was that great that played in Florida State. Oh, LSU. I don't think LSU was that great, okay? But people thought, oh, it's the LSU of 3 or 4 years ago, and somehow Florida State has miraculously become an elite level team. I don't think so. Okay? I think Louisville, as I say, could have won that game, but they gave it away, as many college football teams do, with mistakes and errors, but it was still a very well played game. Air Force Wyoming really surprised me. This was supposed to be a cakewalk for Air Force. So this makes me circle Wyoming going forward. And depending on who they're playing, it might be a good pick to take a look at Wyoming, because, you know, Air Force has the best rushing offense in the country. And they were held to 14 points. The week before, they had knocked the crap out of Colorado, who's not a great team, but it was sloppy weather. And that really surprised me on there. Okay, so Wyoming might be a team on the rise a little bit. I'm not going to talk about Virginia Tech and Purdue and Syracuse. I really thought that maybe Purdue would win. I didn't put a bet on it. I didn't have a strong. I thought it would be a picket game, and that's the way it turned out to be, 32-29. But Syracuse is looking good. Are they elite? Yeah, LSU's a confused team, and it caused people to make confused backing, I think, of Florida State too. FSU. Is FSU football back? Yes, it is. But is it elite level? No. In my opinion, I don't think that it is. So, in terms of Syracuse, I think they're really rolling along pretty good. And that's another team. If you get any kind of cheap lay on that team, they might be a good team to back. Nebraska is just, it's sad. Think back 3 weeks when Scott Frost was on a plane going to Dublin to play Northwestern. I'm going to get there, Justin. And the expectations were really high that Nebraska is going to be kicking ass and taking names. They came back and had their tail between their legs. They went up to North Dakota. Didn't exactly shine up there. Then they got their ass kicked. Then in the Oklahoma game, they got their ass kicked again. They fired the defensive coordinator. Man, you just need to gut the whole program. Okay, 49-14, really? So there's a team that you might make some money fading them, right? Because I've never heard a team that people were so hopeful. This is the week, right? They fired Scott Frost. This is the week. Yeah, they get the fire. Yeah, it's a new era opening. Man, if you don't have the right pieces, it ain't going to work out. So we raised our 3 boys on football. Oh, that's awesome. Western Kentucky and Indiana final in overtime. I think Western Kentucky is a decent team, and depending on who they're playing, that's another team that I put a little check mark, the Hilltoppers, on there. I don't think Indiana is really that good this year. Illinois, they barely beat Illinois. I think Illinois is a really, really, really much superior team to them. Michigan, Connecticut, nothing to say there. Northwestern, Southern Illinois, nothing. Cincinnati was a little scary in the first half. I think Miami was up, what 10 to nothing or something crazy, 14, 14-3 or something, and the Cincinnati, the Bearcats came back. I think that they're a damn good team. Cincinnati, that's another one that I put a little circle around and say, yeah. Just like Kentucky, the Wildcats. Solid as a rock. They beat Youngstown State 31-0. Georgia, this is it. This is your top elite football team. They might run the table this year. They probably won't get beat. I mean, look at the way the Gamecocks played Arkansas the week before. You're thinking that, what's his name? What's that quarterback, that Gamecock or whatever the hell is? I can't remember his name. Who in the hell's the quarterback for South Carolina? This kid, he's got a weird name, right? And he's playing Arkansas like crazy right down to the wire. Then they go into, Georgia goes into South Carolina, and they just throttle their ass. Okay, they just throttle. Yeah, Cincinnati's really rebuilt their program. Cincinnati's great, okay? I hope to make money on them. But I don't see another team that really can run with Georgia. Does anybody else here see a team? It's not Ohio State. I don't think Alabama can go toe-to-toe with Georgia because they're lacking in receivers. I'm not betting Georgia because you're going to have to lay a shitload of points. But what I'm saying is, somebody else tell me a team that they think can go toe-to-toe with this Georgia team. It's almost like a different universe of football. I don't know if anybody disagrees with that or not, but their defense is on point, their offense is on point, and their depth on the bench is just unbelievable. Hey, First Amendment Rights, how you doing? Welcome to Vegas Rosie picks and wrap up for the weekend here. Good to see you. So, Baylor, another very solid, good team. I don't know why they had so much trouble with BYU, because we can triangulate a little bit on BYU, so stay with me a little bit on this one. Villanova, Army, West Point, nothing there for me. My hometown, Maryland, Towson Tigers got their ass kicked by West Virginia. Central Michigan, I really like the Chippewas. Central Michigan covered the spread against Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma State there. And I really think Central Michigan, this is a team that really impresses me with their coaching. They beat Bucknell, and they're going to say Bucknell's nothing, but 41-0. But I'm saying the team's got no give. There's no give up in this team at all. These Chippewas. I remember when they played Oklahoma and they were just gamey. They covered. They were down like 28 points and they came back to cover the spread. They're just a really gutty team. Let's see. Thomas says, I think that when a team plays on real grass instead, they have better foot grip. Probably. They don't get caught. I've seen some people get caught in turning on artificial. Old Dominion. I said last week that I kind of expected they were a real dog in this game against Virginia, but let's face it, guys, Virginia's not real good. And Old Dominion surprised in week 1, and they only lost by 2 points to Virginia, 16-14. That's almost like just an even up sort of game. So I'm keeping my eye on them too. Going forward is a good chance to maybe make some money coming up. Let's see what else we got here. We're running on down. There's so damn many teams. I don't have an opinion. I don't care about Rutgers and Temple. Iowa State Cyclones, they're always a solid team. Ball State beat Murray State. UCLA struggled to get by South Alabama 32-31. I really thought that upset alert last week that Cal could beat Notre Dame. And they were hanging good 17-17. Till almost the end of it. And they just had a little bit of give up at the end. But I really thought that they could win in South Bend. But they lost 24-17. Now let's get down. Here's a game that we bet and won. We had Ole Miss at Georgia Tech. Now, Ole Miss is an interesting team because I think we have 11.5 points. I think we laid 11.5 points, either 9.5 or 11.5 points on that game. And I felt very comfortable with that. Because Ole Miss has a hell of a team, and it's flying under the radar right now, and it's not getting any respect. People are just like, it's a nonsense team, but I'm telling you what, oh, well, thank you, Thomas. I've always loved football. Wonderful thing is parity amongst the good young athletes. Yeah, Ole Miss is going to make me money. Okay, because Lane Kiffin has got them like a well-oiled machine, and I think that I don't mind laying the points on them. I already saw Georgia Tech got beat by Clemson. I'm not particularly worried. I'm almost thinking that Ole Miss could be on a level with Clemson. Okay, may not be Georgia level, may not be Alabama level, but I think they're going to make you money. And I think that they're as solid as a rock team. So circle your roster for that one. They did not allow any points from Georgia Tech. Clemson allowed 10 points. Do a little triangulation there. All right. This is a very underrated team, and it's getting no attention whatsoever. I never saw a team that just so lacked attention, and I think that's exactly how Lane Kiffin likes that. They won 42-0 running away. I never even sweated a moment in this game. Okay, there's a great team. Depending on what kind of points you have to lay, they're just solid. They are just solid, okay? And well coached. Say what you will about Lane Kiffin. Failure in the bigs, and this guy gets the job done. All right. Minnesota Golden Gophers, another team. I think it was 14 points you had to lay to get Minnesota. Big deal. The Golden Gophers are a wrecking machine when it comes to offense. Minnesota Golden Gophers. God, help me, Lord. Are they an elite level team? No. Are they a top level team? They very well could be. Colorado's a crappy, I'll give it to you, it's a crappy team. But I think it was only 14 points or something that you were laying to have. I mean, sometimes you cannot go in my opinion, and this is just my thoughts here. You cannot go into college games with a pro football mentality of more than 7 points, laying 7 points and take 10 points. Sheesh. You really never do that stuff in pro, right? You get killed on that shit. But you can't. I don't think you can take that mentality into college football, and I think this is what holds people back from being winning bettors is they can't eat the big lays here. Okay, they're afraid to lay the 11.5 or the 2 touchdowns or whatever. It's just my opinion. Would you agree with that, PC? That they're just kind of afraid. That just is a different mentality that shows up for that. And I think it holds you back when you're betting. Because a team like the Golden Gophers can easily go out and score 30, 40, 50 points. You can almost always take them in an over-under situation. 'Cause just like Ole Miss, you could probably always take them in an over-under situation. They're just going to rack up a lot of points because they got very high power offenses there. But people come in, because I had so many people write me this week and say, Rosie, I'm not laying 14 points with Ole Miss. But you're thinking like you're betting pro ball and you're not. Okay. These are just my opinions. Wisconsin, elite level team. They played New Mexico State, big deal. New Mexico State's crap, but they won 66-7. Is Wisconsin gonna be? Is they gonna be in the deep in playoff? Yeah, they're gonna be there. Yeah, he has a history to run up a score a bit, but they're not going to make it. There's no way that they could beat an Ohio State, but they're not going to beat a Georgia. All right. But a good solid team. All right. BYU. Yeah, right side of worth monitoring ahead of the Big Ten opener. Yeah, I like Wisconsin a lot. But it's going to see what they do up against some real stiff competition coming up here. Okay, I mean you get these gimme games that come along. Let's talk about BYU and Oregon. I've bet we've bet 23 games, and this was the one that I was the furthest off the mark on. We had BYU like 2.5 or 3 points. We were getting 3 points or something like that. And Oregon came out and just decimated them. That they were stunned like the first half, and then they started getting into the rhythm and clawing back a little bit in the second half, and it ended 41-20. See, this is how you can really get your brain fucked up. Pardon my language, but this is sports betting talk. You watch that opening game when Georgia took on Oregon at Georgia, or I think it was a neutral site game or something. And Bo Nix, the quarterback for Oregon, was like a deer in the headlights. I mean, he couldn't do shit. What did they win? They lost like 50-7, 49-7 or something like that. That stuck with me, that game. Next game they went out, they played some scrubby school, and hey Giro, how you doing? Yeah, the Finns were outstanding today. Yeah, Baltimore didn't even show up the second half. Okay. But my mind got trapped into that game against Georgia, and I thought this guy's not going to cut it as a big-time quarterback. Well, he showed me against BYU because BYU beat Baylor in a real tough game. And I really thought that BYU could go into Oregon and take them up there. Okay, and maybe given 2 more quarters, they might have taken them. I don't know. But it really started turning my thinking, and you better believe Oregon's going to be playing with a lot of confidence going forward now. This game was a turning point game for the year. So we did have a bet on the game, we lost. This is one where I really had to eat crow because I thought this guy was just the transfer portal dumped this guy into Oregon, and this guy's just not going to cut it. And the fans, the media, because they like winners in Oregon, they're going to rip this guy a new asshole up there. Well, he showed me something. So now Oregon's going to be playing with tremendous confidence. Could they take most teams in the West? Yeah, I think they could. But I need to see a little more. A true tell will be when USC plays Oregon, and we'll get to that. Penn State, I was all over Penn State. I think we gave like, what, 3? We laid 3 points on this. Penn State and Auburn. But again, you got that mentality of SEC. Everything in the SEC is great. Everything in the SEC is not great. And I don't care how you put lipstick on a pig, Auburn is still the dumpster fire of the SEC. Whereas Penn State is starting to make movements towards being one of the really top tier, not elite, but a real top tier performer this year. They got a quarterback that's been there for 22 years, or where this kid's, what is he, 80 years, he's 38 years old, he's still quarterback at Penn State. But there's something unusual about Penn State. Remember, Penn State would just run the ball year after year after year, known as a running offense under Paterno, and no passing at all, just grind it out on the ground. They're such a different team now, Penn State. And I think that there's no up and down in their performance. To me, they're just like a tractor that's just solidly just climbing with no... Okay, so that's the team that I'm circling that's always going to show up for every single game this year, in my opinion. And they're going to be competitive. And I think that they're going to perform well based on what I've seen so far. And I don't know, PC or any of you guys, if you had any thoughts on that game. But Penn State just dismantled Auburn steadily. No crazy, no ungodly amount of turnover and stuff. Just solid play. And they were almost like soldier-like in the way that they took care of business, which absolutely amazed me. So it's another team. I don't think they're elite level, but they're going to win a hell of a lot of games, and they could make a lot of money. Okay. Appalachian State. We made money on this game. We took Troy. They gave a stupid amount of points to Troy, and we took them. I don't know what the hell it was, 17 points or something ridiculous. If you listen to the Troy coaches' conferences the week before, you could see in his eye that he'd brought this team back. The last 4 times they played in Boone, North Carolina, they got their asses kicked. If it wasn't for a Hail Mary pass at the last play of the game, Troy won. And in my mind, Troy still won that game. Because Appalachian State is not as good as you think they are. Because Texas A&M is not as good as you think they are. When they beat Texas A&M, everybody went crazy for App. Not me. I knew Troy could go in there and hang within 7 to 10 points, and I was thrilled with 10 seconds to go that they're winning. And then a Hail Mary pass blows it. So, am I negative on App State? A little bit. Do I think I can make money fading them a little bit in certain games? I do. Because I think people are only going to remember the win. They only remember the box score. They never remember the way that the game was constructed and the way it was played. Okay, but App State was damn lucky that Hail Mary, the last play, landed, and then, like at the 5-yard line, the guy was able to go to his left and just run it in. Okay, I mean, just weird stuff, but it happens all the time. That's college ball. But 17 points. To me, they were begging you to take that. And we took it, and we're cashing that bet. Okay? Let's see. Alabama 63-7, nothing there. Kansas Jayhawks 48-30. I don't think Houston's that great. I think Kansas is a damn good team. Anything else? Liberty. Anybody watch the Liberty? Check that game out. Liberty lost by 1 point to 21st ranked Wake Forest. Here's a team that I don't think is as good as, I don't think that Wake Forest deserves to be in the top 21. There's a team that I'll look to fade a little bit depending on the game situation. And I won't know till Thursday night till I talk about what's coming up on the weekend and things. But, okay, thank you, Thomas. All right. Anybody surprised Marshall after they beat Notre Dame, then they turn around and lose to Bowling Green? How's that work? Don't put your money on these. Don't put your money on these mid-level teams that just they can look like champions 1 week and then they're like dog shit the next week. Okay, there's just no semblance of stability in their game. So you really are gambling when you back them. Washington State Cougars, very good program. Okay, I think Washington State has really shown this year that they can really rack up some points and be a great team. So I'm keeping an eye on Duke. Has totally turned around their program. Duke 49, North Carolina A&T. What is Duke, 3-0 now? What do you think, PC? You think Duke's going to start recruiting some bad boys now coming into the program since Leonard's been a good quarterback pickup through the transfer portal this year? I mean, they have really taken care of business. Duke is like just unbelievable turnaround in their program this year. There's a team, depending on the setup, that's gonna win. And if I have to lay some points, but probably I'll get some points if I back Duke going up. So I think Duke plays good to their schedule. I think they played fantastic. Right? They're building confidence. Are they an elite team? No, they're nowhere near an elite team. But are they well coached? They're super well coached. And I think that their program's going to be on a definite improved path going forward. LSU, Mississippi State, I don't have a lot of thought about that. North Carolina State, ranked 12th. I don't know. Watch the Texas Tech at the North Carolina State, the Wolfpack, and I don't know. I just am not that impressed with North Carolina State. Yeah, they won 27-14, but there was some called back and some other, some crap that Texas Tech got involved in. But I don't know. I don't know if North Carolina, Oklahoma State, very powerful team. Ohio State took care of Toledo. Tennessee took care of Akron. Arkansas continues their winning way, number 10. They're probably properly placed. 38-27, they beat Missouri State. Do I think that they're an elite level team? No. Do I think that they could beat Ohio State? No. Do I think that they could beat Alabama? No. Do I think that they could beat an Oregon State? I don't know. But they certainly find a way to win games. So, see, anything else of note here? Maryland did well. They beat SMU 34-27. They got a hell of a quarterback there. Anything else? Iowa's a good solid team. Solid. Pittsburgh beat Western Michigan. Even I don't know. I don't know how you feel, PC, with Pittsburgh really got banged up in that Tennessee game. I think that their confidence got rattled. I think that Caden Slovis, the quarterback for Pitt, really got his bell rung in that game. And I just don't know if Pittsburgh's going to hold up against any top-level team. They've already dropped to 24 now. I don't know how you feel about Pitt, but the injuries and the rough treatment that they received at Tennessee is, I think, really going to knock them out of a competitive position for the rest of the season. And it's kind of a shame. But what does that mean? It means you should circle Tennessee. Because I'm going to say it here, Tennessee is an elite level team now. I think Tennessee could beat Ohio State. I think Tennessee would have a shot at beating Alabama. I think that Tennessee would probably lose to Georgia, but I think that they would cover any kind of spread on that. Because Tennessee, one thing we noticed from that Pittsburgh game is they hit hard. And when the season began, people were laughing at Tennessee's defensive line. They're not laughing anymore. Of all the teams that I've seen play defense, yeah, they gave up some points, they gave up some deep ball, but they brutalized the offensive line of Pittsburgh. Took a beating. Three of their line guys out. QB bell rung. Tennessee. I don't know what you think of Tennessee, PC. But I'm circling my card for Tennessee. And I think that they're going to figure heavily in it. And that's a lot to say, that you're going to beat Ohio State. You're going to be competitive against Alabama. But come on, guys. Texas ran with Alabama. Okay? Do I think Tennessee's a better team than Texas? Abso-fucking-lutely. So there's another team that's quietly moving into elite level status that's getting zero attention for what it's worth. Now we come, I don't know who was asking about Washington. Huskies. Oh yeah. Sleeper team. The Washington Huskies. Well, they're not sleeping anymore. They have really been impressive this year as a real fly under the radar team. And I think in terms of West Coast, I would look forward to Oregon, USC. We'll get to USC, Washington playing. Throw Stanford into the mix a little bit. I don't think that they're quite at the level. But Washington State is... they're a real sleeper team, and they're ranked 18 now, and they probably should be there. I like that. South Florida, the Florida Gators, 131-28. They're solid. Utes of Utah, 35-7. You expect them to be. Let's talk about USC. Okay, this is a team that's not getting any respect, and everybody told me this is another bet we cashed. When I told people we were taking USC, and I don't know, it was 9.5 points or something like that. We're laying 9.5 points and taking USC, and people were like, you lost your fucking mind. Now, I love Fresno. I love the Bulldogs because they're always a typically tough team, but they got their asses beat. And the final score was 45-17. It was never close. Yeah, because I'm being cautious, but what I'm saying is put 2 and 2 together. this is another team, USC, that could be an elite level team, but we're going to have to wait a while to see because of the matchups and to see how they match up with some of the other elite level teams. But well coached, great quarterback, solid. And I just think they're the cock of the walk out here right now when it comes to West Coast. And I'm going to be very interested. I've already made money on USC 2 times going forward. And I think I'm going to continue to cash on USC going forward. But we won't know until Thursday. I think that's about it. That's all I wanted to say. If you guys got nothing else on any of the games and things, but I'll tell you, it was a very exciting week. We are now 15 wins and 7 losses in the season, which is great. We've tripled our bankroll moving forward. Are we always going to win every week and expand the bankroll? No, it's the lines get sharper as the season gets underway. What's up, DLS? The lines get much sharper. The mystery gets removed. Teams present themselves, weaknesses get exposed, strengths get exposed. Lines get sharpened, and it's going to get tougher going forward to make money as it always does. Because bookmakers don't like to get beaten on Fresno and USC. They don't like to be beaten on so many games. No, I don't do the I just had the sweatshirt because I thought it looked pretty cool. Well, there it is. So, do I think I've got all the answers? Hell no. But although I never discussed it before this year, I've always had a keen interest in particularly college football because I think it's the one sport that you can sports bet. Did I think you have a reasonable chance of winning because bookmakers want to set a bigger line sometimes, but they're afraid they won't get the action in because of the NFL batters and things. And therein lies your potential to make money in college football. Because a lot of college football teams have the ability to far exceed these lines and take them out. So yeah, the record's doing pretty good. So it's harder for the bookmakers to set a line. It's very easy in the NFL, plus 3.5, minus 7. You know, it's tight. But there's no parity in college football. And the injuries, look at the way Pitt just went down, just one game, actually 2 games, that West Virginia took a bit at them, and I know West Virginia's in a tailspin. JT Daniels not doing as well as I thought he would do at West Virginia, but that's for another night. So, make note of those teams that I mentioned that I'm going to be following. Some to fade, some to make money on. And I will be back again Thursday night. We'll talk about what's coming up and some of my thoughts and some of the matchups. I never exactly disclose who I'm betting on. Right? I work hard, but I drop enough hints and things. And anybody wants to audit our bets, you're welcome to do so. Just send me an email. I can make it like new at gmail.com. Attach the betting tickets and show you our verified record here because I think that that's important. Yeah, USC and Tennessee, particularly Tennessee, excites me. Night, Justin. That Pitt game excited me because PC, you know, last year Tennessee was just being bombed, and you look at them this year, and their defense is no joke. All right, I think that they have the ability to go far this year. So we'll see how the matchups go. In the meantime, guys, be well. stay safe, wear protection, no matter what you're doing. And I will see you Thursday night for our look ahead for the weekend coming up, week 4 in college and week 3 in pro football. Yeah, what a difference a year makes. The beauty thing for us is the books are always living in the past and we're living in the present. Okay? All right, everybody. Thanks so much. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button, please do so. Hit that share button. And make sure to share it out to your friends. And Vegas Rosie, the one and only transgender sports betting handicapper on YouTube, wishing you a wonderful night. Do 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 do.